And we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's Hangout. It's the 25th of January. Thanks for being here, first of all. And I hope you find this Hangout very useful in making the comparison. The title says, can it be better than a Rev Share? Can cloud mining be better than a Rev Share? So I'm going to cover a number of topics today that you might find a little controversial. But some things have to be said, and very few people are willing to say them. So, I figured, well, let it be me then. So I'm just going to go straight into my presentation for you today. I'm alone this time, so my partners are unavailable to join on the Hangout this time. So why don't you engage in the chat group, and I will be able to address any questions individually afterwards. So I'll just go straight into the presentation, if that's okay with you. Bear with me. I'm just going to share my screen now. And I believe the sharing of the screen is on. So here we go. As I said, this is going to be a comparison between cloud mining and revenue sharing. And as many of you are already aware of the Rev Share industry, I've put these two separate here on top, Traffic Monsoon and My Advertising Pays. They're not completely gone yet. They're kind of in suspense. And there will be some further developments in the courts regarding Traffic Monsoon. My Advertising Pays, on the other hand, has simply exited the US market altogether for fear of the same thing that happened with Traffic Monsoon, really, and have reinvented themselves as something else, something similar, like a version 2 or 3.5 or something. So, but the point is that, excuse me, many of these revenue sharing sites have come and gone. These names should be all familiar. Likes Excel is the most recent large one to be collapsing. That's because people suddenly withdraw a lot of money if they begin to panic. Fort Ad Pays disappeared, and the owner, Mr. Fort, who's a Colombian, is highly unlikely for anybody to go and track him down in Colombia. Triple Threat, Click Intensity, you're familiar with all of these. The model of a Rev Share obviously relies on new members and new money coming into the system. Now, this is illegal in many developed nations, but what is legal one place is illegal another place. It's a little bit like the definition of peace. You may think peace is a compromise between two opposing sides. In some other parts of the world, peace simply means by chopping the enemy's head off, you have peace. So, in some places, a Ponzi scheme is perfectly fine because there is simply no law enforcement. There's no, and who are you going to catch? Who are you going to chase after? If somebody, an unscrupulous admin was to take your money and run away, there's nothing you can do about it. But in the meantime, you hope to make a fantastic return, and that's what attracts people to these systems. Now, based on the kind of traditional Ponzi system, obviously Bitcoin also has its share of Ponzi's. And my source of all these names that I have mentioned here is actually an independent website called badbitcoin.org. They are cryptocurrency enthusiasts, and they are genuinely concerned about the bad name Bitcoin gets because it's even less traceable than the dollar or euro-based Rev Shares that are out there in the market. Many of you are familiar with HashOcean and Wealth Builders type of systems. There are hundreds and hundreds of these launched. And I did not put Gain Bitcoin and Coinspace in here out of my own opinion. I have simply referred to this website because if they say that there is something not right with them, they also give you a brief explanation as to why. And you can write into them and ask for more details, why they say that these are to be avoided and are on their watch list anyway. But then in the world of Bitcoin, there are genuine cloud miners. Now, if you go to bitcoinmining.com, the website tells you very happily that the top company, the largest in the world, is in fact Genesis Mining. And we're going to talk about this mining company a little later. There are others such as Hashflare based in Estonia. Hashnest is basically just the mining operation of Bitmain, and Bitmain are the supplier of the actual chips. So Bitmain is probably one of the main suppliers to all the other miners anyway, for the hardware, for the chips, for the equipment. But in order to mine on their own, they have a branch called Hashnest. So all these are reasonably okay. I've put these dots next to BitClub Network, these stars, because BitClub Network is essentially the whole power supply of Genesis Mining. So there's nothing to BitClub Network other than the commission structure, really. You get more bang for your buck if you go straight to Genesis Mining, on the other hand. Now, bitcoinmining.com is also an independent website. Please do visit this website, both bitcoin.org and bitcoinmining.com. And both of them will give you an insight into what goes on in this industry. Now, what is Bitcoin? What is your objective really with Bitcoin? I mean, you want to make as much Bitcoin as possible, hoping also at the same time that the price will keep rising, right? So this is what it takes to mine 1 Bitcoin per day. This is from an independent website. I'll show you that website in a moment. But to mine 1 Bitcoin per day, you need a total hash capacity of 1,562 terahash. That's a lot of capacity. 1,562 will cost you around 203,000 United States dollars. That's a lot of money. 200 grand worth of mining power necessary to produce 1 Bitcoin a day. So obviously, not many people can afford that. Not many people should put so much money into this unless they are very, very, the top 1% serious Bitcoin miners. So obviously, our target should be something like 1 Bitcoin per week, perhaps. Or if that's also quite a lot, then 1 Bitcoin per month. Then you just simply divide this by 30, and that's your budget to get 1 Bitcoin per month, provided, of course, the difficulty level remains the same, and Bitcoin is around 900. If these two factors meet, then that's the hash rate you need to produce 1 Bitcoin per day. It's very easy to work out on your own independently. You can play around with this calculator, and I'll show you how in a moment. So in order to get Bitcoin, you don't actually need new people joining the system. You don't need other people's money coming in to buy some kind of ad packs in order for the profit to then be distributed back to you. This is literally a machine. And a single terahash, if you were to buy, will cost you $150 right now. It gets discounted if you buy in larger quantities of 15 terahash or more. So 130 roughly per terahash. But 1 terahash for the average person is $150 with Genesis Mining. And this 1 terahash will produce about 0.11 Bitcoin per year. What does that mean? That means you get about $105 worth of Bitcoin if Bitcoin is at $900. Of course, if Bitcoin doubles to $1,800, this will look like $210. Just double it, right? Again, provided the difficulty level remains the same. Now we know it's going to go up, but because difficulty goes up, so does also the price, because that's the scarcity premium that pushes the price of Bitcoin higher and higher. Okay. Now, if you can make $105 in a year in Bitcoin with 1 terahash worth $150, that means you've got a return of about 70%, which is respectable and decent both at the same time for a machine that is working away for you without you even having to log into anything and click anything. And on top of that, the $105 will be paid out to you over 365 days. So divide 105 by 365, you get roughly 30 cents a day. You expect to get 30 cents worth of Bitcoin fractions per day until over a year you have about this many in your system. Now, on Facebook, this is one of my supposed friends on Facebook. posted something like, the most powerful, stable, and reliable Bitcoin multiplier of 2017, 2% daily, 14% weekly, my #1 recommended program online. Want to learn how? 100% scam. Because unless, just like in case of Rev Shares, the money you're making on Rev Shares is actually somebody else's money. This is not an economic activity that produces net new wealth. It is simply taking from somebody else and paying somebody else with it. That's what a Rev Share does. So if, excuse me, if an independent calculation can tell you that 1 terahash cannot currently produce more than 0.11 Bitcoin per year, therefore, you cannot possibly get more than 70% return, impossible to get more than 70% over a whole year. How is this person giving you 14% weekly, please? Because it's a scam. This means it's going to take Bitcoin from a whole lot of people, and those who are at the top will earn the most. Then the system will collapse. They will run away with their money, and they will post on Facebook and everywhere else how well they have done. Who wants the next program? Come join me. And they will do it over and over again, because morality and ethics are not a global standard. They're different in different parts of the world. They're different even within the same country. So it doesn't matter where you live. There are people who are happy to take from others and let the majority burn. Now, you may not really be bothered with that. It may not concern you at all. But if you are the one that has been burned over and over, please, for goodness sake, for your own sake, avoid these kind of things, because you're only encouraging this system. That being said, these type of scams will always exist, simply because there will always be people that will simply not know the difference between what it is to build a business and what it is to simply take from others and run. And then the same people go and complain about the government taking taxes and causing wars when they themselves aren't really better. They're just doing it on a small street level scale. Now, AdPack versus mining. First of all, meet this gentleman. His name is Marco Streng. He is German. He is the CEO of Genesis Mining, and he is standing next to some very, very sophisticated piece of kit. Each of these little circles you see is a fan attached to a cylindrical tube behind it, and each of these fans and the kit behind it, hidden behind it, represents roughly $2,000. So this mining farm alone is well over $500,000 worth of a kit in just what is visible on this one rack. Excuse me. Now, let's get to AdPacks. What do AdPacks do? Well, AdPacks tend to tell you you'll get 2% daily or something like that, or a total of 120% at maturity or something like that. The entire extra money, the 2% or the 20% on top of the 100%, literally comes from other members. And a Rev Share can survive if it has external sources of income. There are a few, like this FutureNet Pro, because they do some kind of vehicle leasing and some kind of coffee shops or whatever. I'm not quite sure if you start with a Ponzi scheme. When you have enough money, then you try to clean it up by doing decent business. I don't know how sustainable that model is either, but I'm not willing to say more about that just yet. But Rev Shares have a fixed maturity. They will always tell you they'll mature in 30 days, 60 days, or any such defined period. But one thing we do know is they will always most definitely slow down. There are very few exceptions, such as My Advertising Pays and Traffic Monsoon, as I mentioned before, that seem to keep going strength after strength. And that is because more and more members were able to join it. It simply was an easy and convenient system where people even joined from countries that wouldn't normally think about joining something like this, like Venezuela and Argentina, etc., where there's a lot of desperate need, people trying to find desperate ways to somehow make money, even if it means scamming somebody else in another part of the world. All Rev shares are guaranteed to collapse simply because you cannot pay 2% anymore on a daily basis, or even 120% at maturity, for example, unless there is more money coming in. Because when the money has already come in, it gets paid out to people who then start to draw. If they start to draw the money out of the system, there's more money flowing out than there's money coming in. And at some point, if the admin is of questionable integrity, they're going to say, okay, this is going downhill. This is the chance I have to take all the pot that I can see visible in front of me. It's not going to grow any further than this. Let me take it and run. And many of the names I mentioned before have done literally just that. Excuse me. Now, in case of cloud mining, it's very different. It's a known percentage, and it is defined by the market price of Bitcoin as well as the difficulty rate. That much we know. These are true variables that determine your daily rate of return. However, we've just seen in the previous example of how it gives you about 70% per year. Divide 70% per year by 365 days, and that's your daily return percentage. It is significantly lower, as you can see, compared to a Rev Share. But this percentage is not coming from new members joining on other people's money from other parts of the world. You see, because what happens is this piece of kit behind Marco string here already exists. They've already put in the money to set this whole thing up, and they're already earning and making Bitcoin as we speak. The difference is when you choose to buy some mining power from them, literally you might want to buy a couple of rows of these. Now, if this is an S9 Antminer, each of these fans here produces about 13 terahash. So when you buy 13 terahash, you get one of these boxes. If you have less than that, you've only bought a fraction of this box. So you can buy literally the mining power of this generating unit here. But if you didn't, it's still going to keep producing. It's still got electricity running through it. They're not wasting any time. And those Bitcoins it creates go to Genesis Mining. That's their profit anyway. That gives them such a massive balance sheet and capital with which to expand their operations on your behalf. Now, when you buy the mining power, it simply gets diverted. Instead of going to them, they just take a small fee for running the whole thing for you, and the rest of the Bitcoin, which is your profit, gets paid out to you instead of getting paid to Genesis's own account. So that's how simple it is. I mean, the equipment already exists, and that's the beauty. This is from an existing infrastructure. It does not depend on new members buying. If you didn't ever buy this, somebody else might, but somebody else, if they didn't ever buy it, well, Genesis is making that money. So all you're doing is really literally taking a slice of Genesis's own cash flow and diverting it into your own favor. And excuse me, unlike Rev Shares that pay at maturity, this income generated in Bitcoin is literally paid out every single day. It's paid out to you, to your external wallet that may or may not have anything to do with Genesis themselves. They're happy to pay it out to you on a daily basis. So you're recovering the amount you put into the system. You're already beginning to recover it from day one, albeit in small fractions, but they do soon add up. And the beauty is that all the contracts for mining with Genesis are lifetime contracts, subject to profitability, of course. If Bitcoin goes to pot, everybody suffers. You, me, Genesis, everybody. But at the same time, because they're lifetime mining contracts, if, on the other hand, Bitcoin remains profitable into infinity, then a contract is valid into infinity, theoretically anyway. Nobody knows infinity, but excuse me. there is no upper limit. They will not cut you off at 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years. It will keep paying you constantly. And what decides this is pure market forces. The demand in the market drives the price of Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin then decides the profitability. And if the profitability remains good, then it is a profitable activity to be a miner. It is not any longer viable to become a private hobby miner, because you will soon face losses you will not be able to bear. Now, how do you earn with us? Now, let's say, to begin with, Bitcoin remains at $900 as of today, 25th of January, 2017. We have a number of options. So when somebody joins us at either gold or silver level, they are getting a foot in the door of our compensation system. The silver package is more or less the same as the gold package, except you pay in gold upfront. In silver, you spread it out over a year. But the return is roughly the same. It's very low because you get a tiny little bit of mining power. 0.5 terahash is not going to make you a millionaire. Obviously not. Neither is 0.2. That's even less. But what's in it for you? Well, the more of these gold members join, the more you get paid cash bonus, as well as 20% of their terahash. If their terahash is 0.5, you get 20% of that, which is 0.1 terahash. Not bad. This is how you can start accumulating terahash mining power. As I mentioned, it costs roughly $150 per terahash. So this is one way to start accumulating if you didn't want to spend too much on mining power yourself. Just refer more people. Now, obviously, we have bigger packages for those with slightly deeper wallets. The Platinum package gives you 15 terahash of mining power, which at these variables of 900 and at 25th of January will give you roughly 30% return in a year. Plus, it includes some gold. But obviously, they're spending $5,000. That's quite a lot. So what happens to you? You get 3 terahash in bonus. That's $450 worth. Plus, you get a cash bonus from the company for engaging someone at the Platinum level. Now, if they came in at Ambassador, they would get only 5 terahash. That's slightly lower and less gold. But then also your bonuses will be proportionately smaller. However, for the difference between this and this obviously, anyone that wants to hit the ground running tomorrow, and tomorrow morning onwards, they want to get going with 15 terahash of mining power, this is obviously the plan that has 3 times more mining power than even the Ambassador level, which has 5 terahash. Then we have some special packages for countries where delivery of gold or the discussion of gold is somewhat redundant, because they know what they're doing already with their own local gold, and they don't need Swiss certified gold the way it is preferred in the West. It may not be the same case in these countries. They'll compromise on the quality of gold in order to have slightly cheaper gold, because they simply are going to buy some anyway. So this is the whole point. And these countries have other restrictions, in some cases, currency restrictions, and therefore we have introduced 2 new packages. For those who are well-heeled in these countries, they can come in as an executive miner with a $3,000 package. It'll give 11 terahash built into the system. What does that mean? It'll give them over 36% return if they have 11 terahash of mining power. You get 1.5 bonus out of the overall package sale, and you also get $390 in bonus. Then there is a budget version, which is just the miner package. This excludes any precious metal. Both of them have no precious metal in them. And it starts at $170 with 11 times $50 payments on a monthly basis. They hit the ground running with 0.2 terahash, the same as the silver package over here, but with their $50 monthly, they also get 0.1 terahash extra every month. So they're already accumulating more and more terahash mining power each month. And to introduce a miner, maybe from Nigeria, India, Pakistan, you will get 0.11 terahash bonus plus $42.50, because this is a cheaper, smaller package, obviously your bonus will be proportionately smaller. So these are easy ways of simply adding terahash mining bonuses. This is like, I don't know, 1.5 terahash in bonus is comparable to maybe a $225 ad pack in a revenue share mindset. So if you had a $225 ad pack, then this would compare to that. So you're getting that ad pack plus you're getting $400 bonus for introducing one executive miner. So here you've got roughly a $15 ad pack that is given to you as a bonus, plus you get $42.50 in actual cash commission. Now, why do we insist that Genesis is the way to go? This is one picture of a server farm in Thailand. Just look at the picture. These are wooden racks in a shanty type of shed. A lot of money spent on those ASIC mining chips, and one fire burnt through all of it. The whole thing is wasted. This here alone is worth about $500,000. It makes you think, you're going to put $500,000 worth of kit, or maybe even more actually, if you just look at how long it is. You know, you're going to put that kind of kit in a shed. The least you can do is be a bit professional about it. So, you know, I think it is wise and sensible, you know, and I gave this example to one of our Swedish friends. You know, I asked them a simple question. You know, Volvo cars are made in Sweden. Would you like to have Volvo cars made in China and pay the same price? They're like, absolutely not. So here you go. This is the facility in Iceland. This is Jakob. He's one of the co-founders of Genesis Mining, standing proudly next to his pride and joy. So Genesis is a German company. This is their Icelandic facility. You know, professional, clean. They know what they're doing. They've got the best electrical engineers. They've got the best software engineers. And they've got the best brains. Nearly all of them are PhDs in mathematics. And they know what they're doing. And they will ensure that this is a profitable, long-term, viable operation. Excuse me. So how does compounding actually compare for the two systems? Now, let's say somebody came into a revenue share with $1,000 and the Rev Shares had $10 ad packs. So you'd buy 100 ad packs, what, $10? You earn 2% daily for 60 days. In 60 days, you're sitting on $1,600. That is phenomenal. That is a very, very good rate of return. Think about it. And then on day 60, you start with 1,600. Now you can buy 160 packs. And then you're compounding till the end of day 120. You've now got $3,520 worth. I mean, you've got from $1,000 to $3,520 in just 4 months. That's a 352% return in 4 months. Please remember, these kind of numbers are simply unsustainable. If they were sustainable, the whole of the investment community that buys shares and stocks and bonds, every financial advisor would be recommending a Rev Share. Why don't they? There's something obviously wrong, right? Because it could be gone in 6 months. You are stuck compounding in the 5th month, and the maturity is yet to come. And before it matures, before you have your chance to draw your money down, it's gone, and your money is gone with it. And then you can sit through the process of painful chargebacks and this, that, and the other. On the other hand, mining contracts, the same $1,000 will buy you 7.15 terahash of mining power at the current pricing with Genesis. That we know already, will give you about, doesn't matter how much hash power you make in a year, it should give you purely on its own around this kind of a return. So you're looking at a return of about $751 on top per year over 360 days. So 365 days. So $750 in a year returned from $1,000 is roughly $2 a day. You can buy mining contracts from $30 onwards. That means every 15 days, if you earn $2 a day in Bitcoin, every 15 days you can buy 0.2 terahash worth of mining power. If you did that every week, that is 0.2 in the first week, then 0.4 in the second week, then now you have 0.6 in the third week, and so on. If you keep adding that up, by the end of the year, you're looking at about 11.95 terahash in total. You started with 7.15, and by compounding alone, this is without commissions, without bonuses, without adding fresh money. This is your existing mining power. If you're able to compound it at the rate of 15 days or so with 0.2 terahash in this specific example, then obviously, you're looking at a return of the initial mining power that's already there worth 1,000, plus you've now added about $720 worth of mining extra. You're looking at 11.95 terahash of mining power. Now, you're starting your second year with 11.95 terahash instead of 7.15. Not bad, considering a year down the line, something can happen to Bitcoin that it becomes significantly more in value. It can also crash and completely disappear. So the difficulty rate is our main hurdle. That is a known hurdle. The unknown hurdle, obviously, is if there's any significant event that completely wipes out the Bitcoin mining industry. But then that risk has to be taken simply because you don't get these kind of returns without taking any risk. In fact, leaving your money in the bank is just as much risk. If the bank goes under, and they say they will come and rescue your money and they'll help you out. We saw what happened in 2008, and it doesn't usually work out like that when there is a general panic in the system. So what does it look like to do the compounding actually? Well, it's quite nice. Let's say you have 10 free members. Now I've just used a crazy example here. One member buys just one pack, another buys two, another buys three. I've just done it like this to keep it simple. Excuse me. Nobody actually knows who buys how much. So, you can never know. But let's say you've got 10 free members and the total they buy is 55 terahash over a year. So when they start with the 55 terahash, you are entitled to 5% on their purchased mining power of even a free member. This is not even an affiliate yet. Just a free member buying reasonable terahash with you, you get 5%. That's 2.75 terahash to you. That's 5% of 55. 2.75 terahash is worth about $412. How is that for a bonus? But guess what? That bonus is not just dollars that you spend. That bonus is actually in mining power itself. So now you've got the ability here to earn long-term residual income year after year, provided mining remains profitable. This is a long-term, sustainable income source over and above any Rev Share out there. Now, let's say you manage to get 10 affiliate members in a year. Out of them, 2 are platinum, 2 ambassador, and 6 gold. I'm just using random numbers here. Mining power for 2 platinum is 3 terahash each, so 6. Embedded in here is 1 terahash each, so 2. And 6 will give you 0.1 each, so 0.6. Add them up, you get 8.6 terahash. So not only are you getting the cash bonuses attached to these, so for platinum, it's over $500 each. You're looking at $1,000 cash bonus here. But I'm only talking about the mining power. So 8.6 terahash of mining power, just by bringing in 10 affiliates in a year, will give you $1,290 worth of mining power. Now, you see, this is nowhere near 1,500 terahash required to earn a Bitcoin a day, but that's a very, very aggressive target. That was just an example to give you just how much power is necessary to earn even 1 Bitcoin a day. And 1 Bitcoin worth $900 is a lot of money, right? But to start, this is one system that will keep adding terahash mining power through bonuses given to you in mining itself. So how does it work? Well, look at that. You can use a cash flow for gold, obviously. If you're not sure about Bitcoin at some point, 2-3 months down the line, you've got mining power coming in, you've got Bitcoin coming in, convert it to gold. Then you have something physical and tangible. So you're using a digital money to buy a metal money, and both of them are outside of your traditional banking system. So you're hedging yourself, you're protecting yourself in two of the only known ways of protecting yourself against all the mess that is going on in the financial markets, in the banking industry anyway. So on top of your own purchased terahash mining power, you then get the bonus of affiliates, and you get 5% each time any one of these buys any more mining power. Each time they buy, just like an ad pack. They buy today, you get 5%. They buy a week's time from now, you get 5%. So surely 10 free members is not a big deal. Imagine for a moment, because they're earning something, right? They're earning something for their mining power anyway. So they are the ones that are coming in to buy their ad packs. And if they click your link as a free member and join as a free member, that's cool. If they ever decide to upgrade to an affiliate, that's even better. But as long as they remain free members, and each time they do any mining activity with you as a free member, remember, you will get 5%. So now the point is, if you keep getting 5% of mining power for no matter what anybody does with a free or affiliate member, as long as they're buying more mining themselves, you keep getting more. And these are on top of our uni-level cash bonus and our upfront cash bonuses. So I hope this was at least a little bit useful. I'm just going to quickly go into my main Google page here, bear with me. So here is Bitmain. This is the mining supply, the chip provider that I was talking about. Bitmain sell the Antminer S9. This is the latest, most powerful chip there is. It costs $2,000. That's one of those fans I showed you earlier. So let me just have a look if I can get to that page where we can see you see one of these rectangular boxes with this fan in front. It's got a fan in the front and a fan at the back to cool it down. Because it's in Iceland, it's especially cool there. Obviously, Thailand isn't ideal weather-wise anyway. Now, each of those S9 Antminers will cost you $2,000 to begin with, and it'll give you 13 terahash of mining power. When you feel like adding more, you're going to have to buy another S9 Antminer worth $2,000. There's no point buying any of the cheaper ones because they are far weaker, and for the dollars you spend, you should get as much mining power as possible. Otherwise, you're defeating the whole purpose of buying it. So this is where the average Joe gets priced out of the market when it comes to hobby miners or private miners with a limited budget. They get priced out of doing it on their own. Even if you had free electricity, with every 2 or 3 weeks when the difficulty level goes up, you're going to wish you had more mining power. Everybody's going to wish they had more mining power. So much easier to just, spend the same $2,000 and get 15 terahash of mining power through cloud mining. I mean, a terahash is a terahash. That's not going to change ever. So why would you buy your own kit and go through the pain of setting it up and potentially burning it down like they did in Thailand, when you can actually simply add mining after mining through our back office? And yeah, you can check out what this does. It says operating temperature 0 degrees to 40 centigrade, but to be honest with you, when they're running 24/7, they're not really stable. A lot goes wrong, they break down. So therefore, it is wise to have them, like Genesis did, in a cold country where most of the time cooling is not necessary. It's simply there, it's simply natural. Around this time of the year, even Canada would be ideal. I don't know of any major operations in Canada, but there's a few in the United States. Now, excuse me. I use this guy, Alos Comp. He is the designer of this calculator. And, you know, if you feel generous and have a few spare fractions of Bitcoin, do donate it to him. Good guy. He's here just providing a service. And the service is the following. You've got the difficulty rate up here. And here it tells you in how many days the difficulty rate moves up. So now we already know, and the difficulty rate is decided by the current block that is being mined. That's why, you know, blockchain and block and all these things come into place gradually. Bitcoins can be mined in chunks. So if I were to use the word chunk, blockchain would be called chunk chain. That's all it is, right? So the next block that is coming up to be mined, at that point, it is estimated that we already know through the algorithm that the difficulty level will go up by 3%. That means everybody on the planet that's got mining power at the moment will have their difficulty level go up by 3%. That means their returns will drop by 3% in fractions, which is very, very tiny, but it makes a difference. Because what then can happen is if you were to make, let's say 3% every 2 weeks, you can simply compound and keep up with it. You can catch up with, by compounding, you can catch up with the difficulty rate more easily than anybody that's trying to mine privately on their own. So it doesn't make any sense to mine on your own because, you know, there's a lot of money spent on that kit. So we know the difficulty rate. Now, this is important here. 1,000 mega hash makes 1 gigahash. 1,000 gigahash makes 1 terahash. 1,000 terahash makes 1 pentahash. What is a pentahash? A pentahash means 1,000 trillion calculations per second. You hear me? 1,000 trillion with a T calculations per second is a pentahash. So that's how much calculation takes place in those server farms. The server farm picture you saw of Genesis earlier, I believe that is a capacity of 3 pentahash. That means they have 3,000 terahash in that one rack. And out of those 3,000 pentahash, Genesis is making all of the Bitcoins. And if you want, you can just go and buy your own portion of it. And when they've sold out one rack, guess what? They've already in the middle of constructing another rack and another rack and another rack. As long as Bitcoin mining and Bitcoin itself remains so lucrative, they have no reason to stop because guess what? They spent already on the electricity. They've got Bitcoin coming in on a daily basis. What are they going to do with that? They're going to put it back into the system. They are also compounding. So the question is, are you going to join them and compound with them or not? That's how it works. Now, let's go here and let's say we want to choose terahash. This is the easiest way to work it out. 1 terahash, hit enter. 1 terahash will give you 0.194 Bitcoin per month, which is right now worth about $17.49. It would be literally $17.49 if you had free electricity and you owned the kit outright without borrowing any money. Let's say it fell from the sky and you had access to a giant solar panel that could power it and it would cool at the same time and you had no other expenses, it would give you $17.49. But because there are expenses, Genesis will take some of the money out of the system. And when they take the money out, you will get roughly 50% of this. So whatever numbers you see on this calculator, just halve them. Just go by 50%, you'll be safe, right? So now let's say the guy who came in with $1,000 of ad pack 7.15. You can see I did this workout even before. Calculate. Let's go back to the presentation really quickly. This person, instead of $1,000 spent on a Rev Share ad pack, the person comes and spends $1,000 on 17.15 terahash of mining power. What does that person expect? $125 worth of income, literally, per month, gross, before the fees are taken out. If you were to halve this, how much do you get? Well, it's not that difficult to work out. I'm just going to say $125 times 6 instead of 12. 750 bucks. That's how I worked out. 750 is your return. But the reality is that it isn't really 50%. It's sometimes even less that they take and more that you get. And what is coming up very soon as a change is that Genesis, instead of leasing their equipment from Chinese suppliers, in the summer hope to own pretty much all of it. That is going to change even the nature of the lifetime contract. So they want to keep the fee as low as possible because they don't want you to go anywhere. They don't want you to leave. They don't want you to go anywhere. They want you to continue to mine with them and continue to take mining power from them so that they can go ahead and keep expanding the operation as long as it remains profitable. But they've already made millions upon millions. It's $100 million operation that they've got going there. Do you want a slice of an established business, or would you rather trust your money with something that's gone in 6 months? Now, there are rev shares out there, don't get me wrong, that are good, and they seem to be doing the right thing. And I've only ever seen happy members when it comes to MPA and MPCA. And I'm not holding anything against them. I haven't listed them in my sin bin or in my wall of shame or anything. And neither am I against Traffic Monsoon and Maps in particular, because, these are a godsend to people in countries like India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and many African countries who simply don't have any other access to e-commerce or any other ability to raise money. And, people there have made money, and that's a good thing. But the nature of this beast in a rev share is that it is always somebody else's money on which you rely your income, you build your dependency upon, whereas cloud mining is very different. And as I've shown you here an example, let's go to the calculation again. 352% in 4 months is significantly better than 70% in a year, obviously. However, I've also shown you that it doesn't have to remain at 70%. Because if you can earn 7.15 terahash worth of mining power, you're getting 70% without spending your own money. That's coming as bonus to you. And why just stop at 7.15 terahash? You could have 8.6 by this model. You could have another 2.75 by this model. Add the two together, you've got well over 10 terahash right there. And that's, at this current moment, 10 terahash is worth about $1,400. Why would you want to spend your own money when you can refer people into a system that works more stably and more reliably with real machines and real capital investment rather than just clicking a few banner ads? So I'm going to stop this now, stop sharing the screen. Hopefully you found this Hangout useful. And if you have any questions, I'm available on various social media platforms. Please feel free to share this. The Hangout is not about me. It's about the team members, and it's about everybody that wants to take my videos, download them, and use them. So I hope this was useful, guys. We'll catch up soon. Take care. Bye-bye.